In today's video, I'm going to look at the Meyer-Optik Görlitz Trioplan 50mm f2.9. It's a legendary lens from the 1930s, known for creating dreamy background blur with soap bubble bokeh. I've been very curious about this lens and now I have one to test and share my experience with you. This Trioplan 50mm f2.9 is a lens with a once upon a time much used formula, the Cooke triplet. It consists of two biconvex lenses on the outer edges and a biconcave lens in the middle. This seemingly simple design offers some surprising characteristics that have attracted both manufacturers and photographers for decades. Let's delve deeper and explore what makes this lens so special. I tested this lens on a 46MP Nikon Z7 Mark II. Sample images were taken with a full-frame Nikon ZF and an APS-C Nikon ZF-C. You can also see this review as a blog post on our blog site. I leave a link in the description below. There is a revival version of this classic lens in black instead of silver, named Meyer-Optik Görlitz 50mm f2.8 Mark II. Same lens formula, manufactured in 2020 and with largest aperture of 2.8 instead of 2.9. First of all, let's look at the handling and build quality. This Trioplan is a very compact and lightweight, fully mechanical lens. It's built rigidly, reflecting the high standards of old-school German mechanical craftsmanship. The entire lens is constructed of metal and glass. The silver aluminum lens body feels solid and well made. Everything written on the lens barrel or the front is engraved and filled with color. Name, serial number, aperture values, distance in meters and feet, and depth of field markings. The front of the lens features a red V engraving signifying the German word vergütet, which simply translates to coated. Additionally, a small triangle with a number 1 inside indicates a premium or first-grade lens build, typically found on models intended for export. Variable distance clickable apertures are available at every full stop on the aperture ring that is quite small and is placed at front. The focusing ring is larger, with easy to grip hill valley design and boasts a massive 290 degrees of smooth dampened rotation with excellent resistance. The big focus throw helps with precise manual focusing. I'm particularly impressed by its smooth operation, as many older German lenses suffer from stiff focusing due to dried grease. One interesting detail for Nikon users, though perhaps peculiar for others, is that the focusing ring direction follows Nikon's convention for vintage lenses. Infinity is on the left, and the minimum focusing distance is on the right, seen from the camera, which is the opposite to most other lenses. My copy of the lens is in exacta mount, which is the most common mount. To adapt it to my Z cameras, I used both a dumb EXA to Z adapter and an autofocus Leica M to Nikon Z adapter. That requires an extra dumb EXA to Leica M adapter. Now let's look at the lens's optical features. Sharpness at infinity distance. For the infinity distance sharpness test, we look at 3 areas of the image: center, midframe, and corner. The center sharpness is a little soft, but completely acceptable, especially for a dreamy effect. The contrast is low though and needs some help in post-processing. Stopping down improves the sharpness everywhere in the frame. While stopping down will improve mid-frame sharpness too, it won't reach peak performance until around f16. However, the corners are quite weak and won't improve significantly even when stopped down. Sharpness at portrait distance. Let's look at the points of interest for portraits: the center, the center's inner periphery, and the center's outer periphery. It seems that this lens performs better at longer distances, as it suffers from softness and low contrast at portrait distance wide open at f2.9. Stopping down to f4 improves contrast significantly and the center sharpness becomes very good. At f5.6, the lens delivers very good sharpness in the center and good sharpness in the inner circle. However, f5.6 isn't ideal for portraiture with this lens as it sacrifices the unique charm of its bokeh effect. Close-up sharpness. Close-up sharpness at f2.9 is okay, but the contrast is very weak. However, this can be easily addressed in post-processing. Stopping down to f4 reveals very good sharpness, which seems to be the peak performance aperture for close-up shots with this lens. I've included detailed sharpness charts with 100% crop images for all interesting points at various apertures covering infinity, portrait and close-up distances in our blog post's text-based review. You can find the link in the description below. Lens distortion. This lens excels in distortion control, delivering images with minimal distortion, one of key strengths of the Cooke triplet design. Vignetting. This is another strength of this design. This lens delivers impressive results. Few, if any, modern lenses in this category can compete with it. Wide open, there is a slight amount of vignetting, but it's not bothersome. Stopping down one stop reduces vignetting to a virtually invisible level. One might wonder, how can a vintage lens outperform most, if not all, modern lenses in this category? Firstly, light fall-off vignetting is influenced by several factors. These include the number of glass elements, air-to-glass surfaces, lens element thickness, and sensor distance. This vintage lens excels in these aspects compared to many modern lenses, contributing to its impressive performance. Secondly, modern lens designers often prioritize other qualities, tolerating some vignetting as it is easily correctable in post-processing software or even in camera. Aberrations. There is no focus shift, but some spherical aberration is there. Longitudinal chromatic aberrations is negligible. There is a slight amount of lateral chromatic aberration which can be ignored as it is not very disturbing, and in most cases it's not even noticeable. Flare resistance. One of this lens's weakest points is its flare resistance. Forget or not, the flare resistance is terrible. The coating seems to have minimal impact on flare in situations with strong backlighting or direct sunlight. The lens exhibits severe flare across the spectrum. Although the flare and glare of this lens can be used creatively, it's a subjective matter. Coma correction. This Trioplan suffers from coma. It's not too bad, but not so little that can be neglected either. The worst part is that it's resilient and does not disappear by stopping down 1, 2 or 3 stops. Actually, it does not completely disappear even if you stop down all the way to f22. Sunstars. Expecting nice Sunstars from a lens with 12 aperture blades is a little too much. You cannot get decent Sunstars with this lens. Focus breathing. This lens does suffer from severe focus breathing. There is no way you can go around it or ignore it. Not the best news for videographers. And to the bokeh. Triplet lenses are classic soap bubble bokeh producers, and this Trioplan is a prime example of it. It delivers the distinct round shapes with defined lines around the edges. However, the close focusing distance limits the size of these bokeh highlights. But you have a few tricks up your sleeve to achieve larger bubbles. Here are some tips. You can use an autofocus lens adapter. This allows you to get closer to your subject for bigger bokeh balls, in addition to offering autofocusing. Use an APS-C camera. The smaller sensor size offers a 1.5x magnification factor, making the bokeh balls appear larger. Utilize dedicated extension tubes. I used the first 2 tricks myself. Look at the difference in bouquet ball's size in these pictures. The windmill to background distance is the same for all pictures, and the focusing ring is at minimum focusing distance in all three cases. But I could go closer to the windmill using the AF adapter. For images 2 and 3, even the camera windmill distance was the same. This is a versatile lens capable of creating not just the distinct soap bubble bouquet, but also soft, creamy out-of-focus blur or busy background blur. Here are some examples. Now to the conclusion and sample images. The Cooke triplet lens formula is a simple yet revolutionary design for its time. It was the first lens system that allowed the elimination of most of the optical distortions at the outer edge of the image. This design has been used in various lenses by many manufacturers, including Agfa, Ingenieux, Carl Zeiss Jena, Carl Zeiss Oberkochen, Kodak, Rodenstock, Schneider, Minolta, and of course Meyer-Optik Görlitz. The Cooke triplet design, while groundbreaking for its time, has limitations in terms of image quality compared to modern lenses. The sharpness is weak in general and bad in corners, flare resistance is almost non-existent, Coma, while not catastrophe, never clears up, and it can't produce any decent Sunstars. So if the optimal image quality and optical performance are your priorities, this is not for you. You need to add some contrast in post, and you could add some sharpness to get crispier images. Although I have boosted the contrast in all images here, I did not sharpen any of them. However, it has its strengths as we have seen here, and although it will not win any sharpness competition, it is good enough to produce pleasant dreamy images. Vignetting is better than any modern lens, distortion and chromatic aberrations are well corrected, it's very compact and well built, and not least of all, it has that bouquet, which makes you doubt if you are awake or dreaming. If you are more inclined towards the creative side of photography, especially if you appreciate the soap bubble bouquet effect, this lens could be a perfect fit for you. Remember though, no lens can magically create soap bubble bouquet. You still need the right conditions and work with your composition to achieve this desired effect. As mentioned earlier, this review exists in written format on our blog site. You can find many detailed charts of sharpness and other characteristics with more sample images there. I leave a link to the blog post in the description below. Huge thanks for watching. Any comments are most welcome. Show some appreciation by giving me the thumb up, and for more content like this, please subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I hope this video inspired you to create amazing photos. Share your results with me. See you soon and have a fantastic day, everyone.